Hello Covenant people and whoever else may watch this video. It's getting close to Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and soon to be Cyber Monday, so I thought I'd make this little video, my first screen capture video ever, with some of the computer things, technical things, a little bit of hardware, the things that I've found helpful to try and keep up in treating our patients and documenting it on Athena the most efficient and quickest and easiest ways possible. And I certainly don't have the end of the story on this. I know we all work to try and improve processes, improve our tech, improve whatever to try and make things go smoother so we can actually care for patients and care for our test patient here, Daffy Duck, that we use a little bit today. So I just wanted to jump into this and show you a few things I find helpful. Again, this is what works for me. It may or may not work for you. But back in the mid-'80s, when the Apple IIc came out, our family got this for Christmas, and the full package, I think at that time, was around $2,000. And I always like computers because, especially if they can do things for me that I don't have to do myself and make my life quicker and faster, so that I have more free time, I have more happiness in my life rather than just dealing with menial tasks over and over again. So I'll show you a few things in our, quote, modern age, at least at the time of this video, of modern computing that I found helpful for dealing with Athena. Disclaimer, just wanted to make it clear that I don't have any financial attachment to any of the products or services mentioned in this video. Any of the links are not proprietary links with kickbacks, but just reference so you can find the products. Number one is Dictation, or speech to text. I finished residency in 2007. At that time we were paper charts only. We did a lot of dictating, which were then transcribed into paper and then put in the chart as paper. Some of the hospital records were actually digitized, but anyway, so I come from that background of dictating. On a personal level, around that same time I did use Dragon Naturally Speaking. I think it was maybe version 8 that I started with, and use that not for medical things, but more for just personal use and for papers and things that weren't medically related that I was working on. And I found that extremely helpful. Honestly, today, I don't know that I would get by without Dictation with Athena, or previously with Epic or whatever service. Right now, this is what we have with Covenant access to for those who are using it or those who want to use it. C-Speak, it's also a derivative of the Dragon history. It's now owned by Nuance, and there's Dragon Medical 1, which is similar. We looked into these products when they initially grabbed these after originally ended up with the C-Speak after finishing with Beaumont, where we had Dragon 365. I can tell you with C-Speak, and this uses the Dragon engine on the cloud, so everything goes up to the cloud. You need internet that's not on your PC, but it's easy to install on any PC. And the speech recognition out of the box was surprisingly good. I think it was better out of the box than the Dragon 360 that we used before, after having trained it and taught it things and listening to me hundreds or thousands of hours. So it really is a good product. It's got some quirks in that some things are not as customizable as far as formatting and everything. It's super easy to load. It just loads a small app on your computer, and then it's all cloud-based. So you do get this fine bar here. It's telling me this microphone it doesn't like. It's not officially authorized. You can use the old school, well, I think of it as old school, where to go microphone or dictaphone with this, like she's got there, but I use a hands-free solution, which is actually Logitech H800, which seems to work pretty well for me. It's wireless, either Bluetooth or using a wireless USB receiver. The latter is what I always use, thinking that it will give a better connection. It's got a good range. The sound quality is okay. Actually, when making this video, I decided not to use that because the microphone quality is not awesome. But anyway, sparing the technical details, I find this extremely useful, and we'll give a little demonstration here in a bit. Along with this, you can program keyboard shortcuts to turn the microphone on and off. For me, I put Control period to toggle listening and toggle it off. And I also programmed a mouse button to be able to do the same thing, which I find useful, which is sort of the right, the wheel to the right little click you can do. So I can post what mouse I use as well, but it's obsolete. They don't make them anymore unless you buy them used on eBay. But they're similar ones. But anyway, for me, I mean, dictation just makes life so much easier. It really does, for documenting notes, for documenting exam findings, you know, patient cases, lab results. So if you have any background in dictation and speech to text and would like to try it, I'm sure Covenant would be up for the investment. It seems like those of us who use it really do save a lot of time. These are dot phrases, and this is another way to do a similar thing, but I think it's a million times better personally. Several months ago, not too long ago, I looked around to see what text expanders were available. We had used Text Blaze, which is browser-based only, and that does work, but the free version only gives you 30 snippets, and beyond that you have to pay, and it's not a one-time fee, it's a subscription, and it only, again, works in the browser. I looked at some others, but I finally came across this one, which is not well known, called aText. It's actually free for Microsoft with a little ad pop-up. I used that for several weeks or months until I finally paid the $30 for a paid version, which I can use on up to whatever it is, 9 or 10 computers. And it works extremely well. It's small and not really well known, but I can't believe it's not more well known. So I was going to show you a few things really quick, and there's a ton to this. So what is a TextExpander? It's basically something that allows you to type a few characters of text, and it expands out to a larger thing as big as you want, really, with this app. And again, this app works in all different locations, so it does work in Word in this case, not just in the browser. So for example, if I want to put my normal sort of basic physical exam, and I come up with these shortcuts in a way that my mind works differently than most, but NC preceded by a semicolon. Again, I use a semicolon primarily because semicolon with a character after it's rarely used, so it's a good thing to use so you don't accidentally expand out text when you don't want to. I have a more detailed physical exam. NP would be more for like a physical, and again, you can go back and edit this again within Athena to correct any, you know, normal values to abnormal. The other thing I use this for is responding to patient messages. For example, if someone's cholesterol is a little bit high, if I don't need them to come back and they're on the portal and they speak Spanish, I can do semicolon CH cholesterol high Spanish, and I've got a basic set phrase of what they should do to follow up. Same one in English by doing semicolon cholesterol high English, and it's a similar one. Even for billing codes, for this one I use the grave mark for some of these because I don't use the grave mark for anything else, so the next thing I push would be fine in most cases. So 99213, grave mark 4 for 99214. Well, I'm on the other one. 99214 for telehealth, grave mark T3 would give me this. So I just find it faster than sort of typing a dot and scrolling through and trying to find my macro, or even the billing codes or simple things like that. Messages to the call center, for example, call diabetes nurse, have semicolon CDN, that would get me this phrase that says, call them, get them back with the nurse, their sugar's out of control. I mean, whatever thing you'd like. The other cool thing with this is you can do some smart things too. So I have semicolon DD, shows the date. You can do whatever you like, DT, date and time. I set up over my last call one for semicolon DOC, which is because the basic intro is doctor on call note. It's the time stamp and date stamp. And that obviously can be changed if you're reporting it late or whatever. So there's really a lot you can do with this thing, and I can't believe it's not more common. There's one similar to it, but again, it's subscription based and starts to get expensive rather than free or $30. The $30 version just allows you to sync as well. So I have it on multiple computers and it'll automatically sync all your snippets. But anyway, so I will post this as well. If anybody tries this, you can look at all my phrases or import them, but a lot of them won't make sense to you because it's the way I think, which may be different how you think. But TextExpander is super useful even if you don't use Dictation. This is another way I know some people do to get through all their notes and things in the macros. It seems like this is still a lot more efficient, and again can be used not just in the browser. The last one we'll look at today is imTranslator.net. There's an extension for Chrome, although interestingly when I just looked at this now, I'm not able to get the extension. It shows a 404 error that they don't have it listed anymore. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but hopefully it'll be back for Chrome soon. I checked, it does work fine on Firefox, and my installed version still works fine. But this basically is super easy to translate if you use, if you have Spanish speaking patients or other languages, to get an initial translation. It's super easy. So for Daffy Duck here, he's got a patient note that we're going to send to him. Pretend this is actually a lab result that I'm going to send to him directly through the portal. So I want it to be in his language, so I can just highlight this and the shortcut Control-Alt-Z, and then we have this configured. Basically just translates it into Spanish automatically with 4 different translations. So I mean, typically the Google translation is fine, and I often read through them to make sure they're right or close enough or correct anything that's weird. But you see that, you just click this to copy text and Control-V, paste it to your keyboard, or right-click, paste, whatever you want to do. So simple cut and paste of a translation. I just leave the English there when I auto-translate it, just because, yeah, at least I know what was there. And if anyone goes back looking at it, they want to see the English probably as well if they don't speak Spanish. So that one works good. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm sure there's others. I haven't re-looked at this one in years, but a simple translation is just crazy how good automatic translation has gotten. So I assume other languages are similar. Okay, let's try to put this together. In documenting an office visit for our test patient, Daffy Duck. This is an ER follow-up. Mr. Duck was in the Henry Ford Emergency Department 1 week ago, period. He had been having about 3 days of cough, congestion, sore throat, fever, chills, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, period. He had had multiple sick contacts in the home, period. His rapid test for COVID-19 was negative, period. 2 days later, his PCR came back negative, period. He also tested negative for influenza A and B, period. Interestingly, his urine drug screen was positive for cocaine and nothing else, period. He adamantly denies having ever smoked any crack or used any cocaine in any form, period. However, he did admit to recently smoking a hand-rolled cigarette, after which time he felt somewhat different, period. New line. Overall, his symptoms have essentially resolved, period. He has some mild runny nose and no other complaints today, period. He's not currently taking any additional medicine for his recent symptoms, period. Review of systems is adequately documented in the HPI. Physical exam, insert my physical exam that's a little more detailed and change anything that's relevant. Sounds congested, period, clear. Put in the diagnoses. Let's go with viral syndrome. Acute viral syndrome, period. Negative COVID and influenza, period. Symptoms overall resolving, period. Continue supportive care and return if he has any further problems, period. And we need to follow up on the urine drug screen. Positive cocaine in the emergency department, period. Denies having ever used it, period. Requires retesting in order to return to work, period. We'll add another urine drug screen, whichever one you like. I can type it 5-panel and I can't find it. I can sign the order and bill the visit. That was the Grave Mark III using the A-text, and we could close this visit. The next day his urine drug screen came back negative, so we need to send him a patient message. Your urine drug screen results were negative, period. Please let us know if you have any further concerns, period. It turns out that he speaks Spanish, so we want to translate this into Spanish. Control-Alt-Z, copy, Control-V to paste, and I guess we lost some capitalization, so there you have it. I can send this to him, that things were normal with a specific message that's bilingual. I hope someone might have found some of this helpful. Again, check out the links to any of these specific tools if you'd like to look at them further. I'd just like to finish with 3 workflow things that I find helpful. I would love to hear from other people about what works for them as far as workflow. But for me, closing charts between patients, I was a waiter before I was a doctor, so I'm pretty good at remembering things for a short time and then forgetting all about them after about 5 minutes. So for me to be able to document a visit and close it before seeing the next patient is extremely helpful. And when I don't do that and go back and try and do it, I find that I'm just multiplying the amount of time it actually takes to finish one visit. Also, keeping up with labs. I find that if I look at my labs by the next day when they come in and I still remember the patients, they're still fresh in my mind, it's so much easier to respond than trying to figure it out days and a week or more afterwards. And also just delegating responsibilities. If there's things that the MA can do, that the nurses can do. For example, for my MA, I just really love that she can just sort out flu shots in most people and order them and have them ready to go for people who want them, and I don't have to engage in a big discussion about flu shots. And with referrals, similarly, just trying to get them to the referral department rather than trying to explain one of the places they might be able to go that they later decide they don't want to anyway. But any help that comes from outside is good help to try and make each visit from beginning to end a little quicker, more efficient. I hope this wasn't too boring, and I just wish you the best in the never-ending endeavor to get the inbox down to 0 and try to keep it there.